Time to set the field for the NASCAR Nationwide Series Lipton Tea 250 here at the Richmond International Raceway. Glad you're with us here on Speed as our coverage continues. A long day and evening from a track nicknamed Racing Perfection. The fans here think so. The drivers would certainly agree. 1953, that was the year the Richmond International Raceway opened, and for many years it was a flat half-mile dirt track. Now, 3/4-mile paved track called Racing Perfection, and everybody loves racing here. Let's take a look at the menu. Morgan Shepherd warms up in his unique way for qualifying. Up next, as we said, qualifying for the Lipton Tea 250, followed by Sprint Cup qualifying here on Speed. You'll see the Lipton Tea 250 over on ESPN2. Trackside at 11 p.m. Eastern. Kurt Busch, the points leader from the Sprint Cup Series. Sam Hornish, Charlie Daniels. A lot of surprises on trackside tonight. Before we go down onto the pit lane, let's check out the point standings after 8 races in this 2008 NASCAR Nationwide Series season. We have 6 drivers separated by just 178 points. The leader after 8 races is Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch is followed by Carl Edwards, David Reagan, Jason Leffler, Joey Logano, and there you see Brad Keselowski. They are separated by just 178 points. Let's check in now on the pit road, pit lane with Randy Pemberton.
Well, just back here in the garage area, Carl Edwards chatting with Monty Dutton here. Great rider, and we're going to step in and get a word with Carl. No doubt talking about our fallen comrade, David Poole. Of course, everybody concerned about him, including Carl. Carl, obviously about David Poole, it's certainly heavy on everybody's hearts here this weekend.
Yeah, Monty was just, telling me about him, and he's just a good guy. You know, I didn't get to spend a ton of time around him, but the time I did get to spend around him, I was always listening to what he had to say. And I told somebody the other day, you know, if David Poole wrote an article about it, you always read it, because if it was bad, it was true. You know, you wanted to know what he had to say. So if it was good, it was true too. So, you know, hopefully we can have a good run here today and a good run here tomorrow, and hopefully everybody enjoys the races just like David would have. How
were both of your cars?
My Nationwide car is real good. Miracle Grow Fusion's fast. The old Aflac Fusion's not so good. We were in there, working.
What's up with that?
I don't know. It's been great lately. It's been a good car, and just not so good. But Bob says he's got a little bit of an arsenal built up, and he thinks it's going to be all right for tomorrow. But real excited about tonight's race, and got my fingers crossed for tomorrow.
All right. Have a good weekend. Thanks, buddy. Bob?
Randy, here is the fastest car of all as Morgan Shepherd roller skates by the number 33. You gotta love old Morgan. He's actually cleaning off the car for Kevin Harvick. He's a good guy.
He is a good guy. I don't know about them roller skates, though.
I don't know about those roller skates either, but I do know one thing. This guy fastest in practice, and the boys let me in on a little secret. You really didn't even do a qualifying run.
No, we didn't. Our Ream Chevrolet was really good in race trim, and you know, I'm just one of those guys that doesn't like to do qualifying runs, and it usually winds up not helping us by the time we go to qualify. But just like the consistency when we put tires on at the beginning of the race, so they're all stickers, and you don't waste 2 runs trying to make sure your car's right. So the car's been really fast. We'll take what we get here in qualifying and go from there.
How much fun is it with this Nationwide Series here, racing under the lights in one of these cars?
Well, it's fun when they drive like this, but all these guys have done a good job. But this racetrack in general just promotes really good racing. The first thing that'll happen is everybody will get on the bottom, and then they'll all just move up, and the groove will move up usually all night. So it's a fun racetrack to race on. If your car's not working, you've got somewhere else to go, and usually promotes a good race.
All right, Kevin Harvick, good luck in qualifying here, man. It's really exciting down here. You see over here we got Jeff Burton. He's kind of hanging out over here. He's getting ready to qualify as well. In fact, we're going to try to sneak in a word real quick with, actually we got radio here with Sprint Vision down here doing a little interview with Jeff Burton. But let me tell you, these RCR boys awfully tough on this racetrack. Steve?
Well, that's a fact, Bob Dillner. Just looking at Kevin Harvick's record, a 4-time winner here in NASCAR Nationwide Series competition. You see Brad Keselowski's car, his Nationwide Series car. He, of course, the winner at Talladega, his first career win in the Sprint Cup Series. Let's go back to Randy.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Every ounce of these drivers' time taken up down here in the garage area. Casey Mears down here, granting a few interviews for some of the press. We'll see if we can. What did I say? Casey Mears, Casey Kane, of course. Case, how's your car?
It was all right. It was pretty good at the end. We actually made some really good adjustments. Kenny and Keith came up with some stuff and felt pretty good the final 2 runs, and then we made a good qualifying run right at the end. So hopefully we have a good shot for maybe even a pole today.
Wow, that'd be awesome. You feel like you're making progress overall?
Overall, today we made a lot of progress. We made a lot of progress. So yeah, I mean it's a slow process, but I feel like everybody here is working hard, and it takes time. But yeah, I think we definitely made some progress today.
All right, thanks, Casey, and thanks you guys too as well. To Bob Dillner.
Very busy down here on pit road, even before these guys get to wrestle this 3/4 mile track here at Richmond. From one interview with radio now to the TV, Jeff Burton, how's qualifying going to be?
I don't know. We weren't all that great in practice, but we made a lot of changes. Well, not a lot of changes, but some changes for qualifying. We were pretty good in race trim, and so we don't want to sacrifice too much for the race. So we, it'll be what it'll be, and I think it'll be decent.
Good luck to Jeff Burton here in Nationwide Series qualifying. And Steve, like he said, it's a delicate balance between the qualifying setup and the real race where the real money gets paid later on.
And thank you very much, Bob Dillner. Jeff Burton, a Virginia native, a winner in the Sprint Cup Series and Nationwide Series here at the Richmond International Raceway. Take a look again at who was quickest in NASCAR Nationwide Series practice. We heard from Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards. Mark Martin making the infrequent Nationwide Series start. Mike Bliss, Kyle Busch also inside. Top 10, Joey Logano. He's been fantastic in the Nationwide Series competition. Steve Wallace and Brendan Gaughan, teammates for Rusty Wallace Inc. He won 6 times here at Richmond.
Richmond International Raceway. Well, whether it's on 4 wheels or on 2 feet with 4 wheels apiece, we're ready to qualify for the NASCAR Nationwide Series. That is Morgan Shepherd, driver the number 89. He will go out 22nd. Oh, this afternoon.
Morgan got loose.
Well, he hit a stone. It was a pretty good size one. I think you'll see him pick it up here.
He's going to go back and get it.
Yep, he went back and got it. Boy, those stones. 80 degrees, a lot of high clouds. The sun is peeking through every once in a while, but the flags are out straight. 22-mile-per-hour winds. So variable conditions for this qualifying session, and 48 cars hopeful of one of the 43 starting positions. So the Cottonelle number 27, Jason Keller, will be the first car out. Finished a season best 7th last week at Talladega, and that moves him to a season high 7th in the standings.
Jason was 19th quickest, and it's the only one practice session that the Nationwide cars had today.
Never want to be the first guy on the racetrack, Phil, especially the track's been sitting about 30 minutes since our last Sprint Cup practice, so you wouldn't think it would have maximum grip right now. And as Mike said, sun is peeking out as much right now as it has all day.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm like you, Hermie. I never wanted to be first under hardly any circumstances. Even if the Cup cars maybe have just left the racetrack, I still didn't want to be first.
Jason has 2 poles here and a win. They all came when he was driving the 57 car.
I think we can look for the second lap to be the quick lap. A lot of these guys scuff their tires for qualifying. Most of the time we see people run new tires, but a lot of the teams at least put 1 corner, maybe even 2 or 3 corners on their tires.
Second lap is quicker, 21.976, 122.8 miles an hour will be the time to beat. Hi everybody, welcome to Richmond. Mike Joy, Hermie Sadler, Phil Parsons with you for this qualifying session. 48 cars, 43 spots. Going to be a little drama when we get to knockout qualifying.
There really is, and there's some good cars too. We don't have any slugs. There's 48 pretty good cars here. I think all the cars were essentially within a second in practice, so it's going to be really dicey when we get down towards the end.
And this race is 250 laps, but it goes by pretty fast. So only a couple pit stops maybe tonight. So track position will be very important. Qualifying, therefore, will be very important, Mike.
All right, let's get back to it. Jason Keller is our first, and second driver will be Jeff Burton for Richard Childress Racing in the Holiday Inn Chevrolet. has 11 career poles, the last of which came here in 2006, and Burton has 2 wins here.
Yeah, there's several drivers in this field with multiple wins here in the Nationwide Series.
So if you're from South Boston, as Jeff Burton is your home track Richmond or Martinsville?
He's right there just about in the middle, but
yeah,
yeah,
both.
I mean,
Let's
he's
just
probably,
say both.
He's closer to Martinsville, but I know Jeff really loves this racetrack, and if you're from this area, from Virginia, you always want to win here, and Jeff's usually pretty good at this racetrack.
8 top 3 finishes in his last 12 Richmond races. Second lap's 22:19.
It's really tight. Get to the middle.
Neither one of these guys feel they've been able to back up what they ran in practice this morning, a sign that there's probably not quite as much grip in the track right now.
Yeah, they started practicing it at 9 o'clock this morning. It was fairly cool at 9 o'clock. It got up to, as we saw on the weather, 80 degrees. But this is the guy right here on the racetrack that was the quickest car in practice, and he did that the first time out on the racetrack right after 9 o'clock.
And it was a green racetrack from the overnight rains. Kevin Harvick, the Rheem tankless water heater Chevy. Harvick with 4 victories here. He started once on the pole, but that was by points. Tied with Harry Gant for second on the all-time Richmond win list with 4. Mark Martin has 5.
He and Delana have done a great job with this race team. The Nationwide Series operation and the Camping World Truck Series operation, both week in and week out, are contenders to win.
They really are, and finally got that first nationwide win this year for KHI. I've had a number of truck wins, but got that first nationwide win this year.
Going for the pole. Trying to knock Jason Keller off the top spot by more than a tenth. 21.81, pole to Harvick. Coming up, Scott Legacy, Brian Scott, Eric Darnell. Eric Darnell in the Northern Tool and Equipment Ford for Roush Fenway Racing. 76 Truck Series starts with 2 wins, and the number 6 car comes in here 5th in the owner points with a victory and 3 top 5s.
This is going to be Eric's first start of the season. He will run this car 16 or 17 times this year, but this is start number 1.
He has 1 start in the series. That was in Mexico last year.
A little bit of pressure too, Phil, to jump in this car after David Reagan took this car to victory lane last week, but hopefully Eric can get off to a good start here with qualifying.
Darnell is 3rd with a 22.01. Legacy and Scott excused, so Brandon Witt and Bernie Lamar next. Speed's coverage of NASCAR nationwide qualifying from Richmond, brought to you by Nationwide Insurance, the official auto insurance provider of NASCAR. And by the new Kentucky Grilled Chicken. Taste the unfried side of KFC. Kevin Harvick, quickest so far of the 5 drivers that have been on track. Brandon Witt, 22.69 on his first lap, coming in here 21st in the series.
Brandon's a former winner in the Camping World Truck Series, had a big win in Memphis a couple years ago.
Second lap 22.54, a little quicker, but he's still 5th. Let's join Chris Devoda.
Hi, Mike, with Kevin Harvick, and no one knows this track and how to win here better than you in the Nationwide Series. 4 wins. Is that a winning car? Did it feel like it out there on that qualifying lap?
Well, I don't know about qualifying. Didn't feel that great in qualifying, but in race trim it's really good, and Rheem Chevrolet was really good in practice today. So I think when the race starts, I think we're in good shape, but qualifying didn't feel all that great.
Thanks, Kevin.
Yeah, he's on the pole right now, Phil, but he did slow down a little bit more than 2 tenths than what he ran first thing this morning. But you mentioned right at 9 o'clock, a lot more grip in the racetrack at that point.
Bernie Lamar's in the Dollar General Toyota. 3 top 15 finishes in his 4 starts in 2009.
Bernie was 12th quickest in our 1 practice session today.
And he's a new dad.
That's right. Yeah.
Getting to do a bit of diaper duty.
He and his wife, Nikki.
Yeah, first time, parents.
Looked like that car got a little bit sideways, and when it did, he just jumped in the throttle and then went straight.
Picked it up to 4th, 22.05 on the second lap. Here's Dick Berggren.
Joey Logano is definitely on a roll. 3 top 4 finishes in your last 3 starts. How about Richmond? How is the car here? How comfortable are you with this place?
The car in practice was pretty good. You know, we kind of fought back and forth. You know, every time you get good in the center, you're too loose off, and it's back and forth. That's typical Richmond, I think. So let's see. We got the Wii on the hood, a whole new paint scheme, so it looks pretty cool this weekend. So let's see if we get in victory lane.
18 years old. Let's see what he does in qualifying.
Every track has been better and better for Joey Logano this season over on the Cup side. See how he makes out. Michael Annette, the Pilot Travel Centers Toyota.
All the excitement with the big finish last week, we almost overlooked the fact that Joey Logano got his first top 10 in a Cup car last week.
You know, the expectations were extremely high, obviously, for Joey Logano, but I'm telling you, people don't realize how difficult that is, what he's trying to do, racing against these guys he's racing with. I mean, these are absolutely the best in the world, and I think he's done a very credible job.
Michael Annette looking to make his first Nationwide Series start at Richmond. 22:35 picks it up to a 22:24. X-Men Origins Wolverine. New movie starring Hugh Jackman premieres today in a theater near you. Rip. Take that. Justin Allgaier had a spin right toward the end of that practice session earlier today. The one and only practice session for these cars, carrying the Verizon colors and also the new Star Trek movie that opens May 8th.
He was real impressive in Phoenix a couple of weeks ago on another short track. He actually crashed in qualifying, started in the back in a backup car and made a top 10 finish out of it.
Yeah, he's had half his races this year, half his starts have ended up in top 10 finishes, and I'm very, very impressive young man. Obviously, ARCA Remax champion last year, won 6 races in the ARCA Remax series, and Penske said this is somebody that I really think we can build on, and I think he's right.
I think so too.
Ooh,
wow,
nice save.
He leads the Rookie of the Year standings by 4 over Brendan Gaughan. 22:64 on the first lap.
That bobble coming off turn 2 is really going to hurt this lap. Not get him anywhere near towards the front of the pack, but he'll be fun to watch tonight. He'll be making his way to the front.
22:38 on lap 2. Dick?
Well, Scott Speed is catching on to this stock car racing stuff really quickly, Mike. He was 5th last week at Talladega. His first nationwide attempt was at Vegas, where he won the pole, and you were quick in practice today, top 10. How have you caught on so fast?
Oh, I don't know. I think there's still a lot to go. In my opinion, I'm still pushing to get to the next level. I got a great support group. Red Bull's put me in really good circumstances. I'm in here at a great team with MWR and the 99 guys. And, it just is, an atmosphere in which we can grow.
Well, it takes a while for open-wheel drivers to get the hang of this, but you are ahead of the curve for sure. Good luck with qualifying.
Thanks, Dick. Steve Wallace, in this race last year, scored his only top 5 finish on a short track.
Tell you something else too, Phil. Since we started this qualifying session, the cloud covers come back over in turns 3 and 4 as well. So some of these guys have an opportunity maybe to knock Kevin Harvick off of that top spot, even though he was fastest in practice. Should have a little more grip.
And I think it's a great idea what NASCAR has done is by putting all the go-homers together. Yep. Now, obviously, they're going to be from 31st back to 48th, but nonetheless, that's as fair as you can get at clumping those cars together.
When people that are listening at home, they don't understand what a big difference that makes, as far as how cool the track is and the conditions. If we know as racers, if you got a little more grip, you can pump the tires up a little bit more, get a little more speed. So kudos to NASCAR by giving everybody as fair a chance as possible.
5th for Stephen Wallace, 22:07.
Well, Brad had a pretty big week last weekend, huh?
Really? What did he do? He won the Cup race at Talladega on the last turn of the last lap, going through the tri-oval. He moved to the bottom. Carl Edwards moved down to him. Why am I telling you all this? You've seen it 1,000 times on televisions across the country. We'll show you in a minute. But first, let's get his qualifying run in the Delphi number 88.
You know, guys, I was talking to James Finch earlier today. Obviously, there's so much made of the bushwhackers from the Cup Series coming and running these nationwide races. And they were talking, and James's truck said, when are they going to talk about us bushwhackers going to the Cup Series and winning their race?
Well, when he did last Sunday, he became the first part-time driver to win a Cup race out of the Nationwide Series since Jamie McMurray won at Lowe's 7 years ago.
How about that?
Yeah.
And that was a full-time team that Jamie drove for as well.
That's right. I think the classiest, let's show you what happened here last Sunday at Talladega. What a great push he gives Carl Edwards in the 99, rockets them all the way to the front. And then after Brad went down, Carl came down on him. Carl Edwards said afterwards Brad did nothing wrong. He held his line and scored the first win of his career. You didn't see James Finch in that shot, the car owner. He was still trying to get to victory lane from the airport. He'd gone over to the airstrip to try to beat the traffic, not thinking that they had a shot to win. And the classiest thing of the whole weekend was in the media center when a tearful James Finch dedicated the win to his longtime friend Neil Bonnet.
Yeah, James Finch loved Neil Bonnet, and Susan and the entire family thought the world of Neil.
Tell you, you know, of all the interviews you saw after that race, most people were happier for James Finch than anybody else, just because a guy that's spent millions of dollars of his own money, does it his way, and it's good to see the little guy win once in a while.
And James is all about trophies too. I mean, James wanted, you know, that win meant so much to him because he got that trophy.
You hear the exclamation of Brendan Gaughan because the Lone Max Chevrolet is second with a 2183 to Harvick's 2181.
But that's a hell of a job for me.
I would say it is.
He said, somebody talk to me. Tell me how good I did.
I'd be happy too.
We'll pat you on the back, Brendan. Don't worry about it.
By the way, Brad Keselowski was 6th, now 7th after his run.
Where's the crew chief? The crew chief ought to be on the radio talking to the man.
There's James's cup hauler right there, the Miccosukee Chevrolet.
No, it's a Dodge this week.
Was Dodge this week?
He has a varied fleet.
But that's a Chevrolet, I think, on the side of that hauler.
And they won last week with
I told James when I talked to him this week, I said, I'm just glad I wasn't in Florida with you and the chairman of the Miccosukee tribe celebrating that victory. I would not have made it to Richmond.
Because we've been there before.
Been there and done that.
Yeah.
Kyle Busch, 14th in practice, not all that sporty. Let's see what he can do with the
I look for
NOS Energy Drink 18.
I mean, he's already won a race this week. He won Denny Hamlin's showdown last night at Southside Speedway for the Denny Hamlin Foundation. 5,500 people crammed into Southside Speedway.
How about that? How about that? Kyle has only qualified out of the top 10 once this year, and that was the season opening Daytona race where he qualified 13th.
Third on the first lap. He gets to the pole, 21:69.
Pretty good lap right there. That's only a 10th off what Kevin Harvick ran for the fastest lap.
He actually helped me out today.
Well, that is a lot sportier than that car was in practice. So good job by that team. Jason Leffler was the first Nationwide Series regular on the practice chart. We'll see what he can do as Krista is with Brad, I believe. Krista?
Yes, Mike, I am, and we have to find out what Brad Keselowski's week was like. I want to know maybe 2 or 3 highlights, phone calls you received, something that you just still have to pinch yourself. That's what you asked me to do in Victory Lane, by the way, was to pinch you.
I did, you're right. You know, probably the highlight, I got this email from my 9th grade math teacher, which her and I, we kind of won a couple rounds, I guess you would say. You know, I'm not always the easiest guy to get along with, and I kind of left the relationship on a negative manner, and I kind of regret that. And she emailed me back, and you know, she saw me win there, and I hadn't heard from her probably in 10 years now, and she emailed me back and said, "Looks like you were right. You know, you can do it without knowing 9th grade math." And I said that was probably the highlight. I think that's a highlight.
That's fantastic. And you know, the good news is, doesn't matter because everything's adding up for you right now. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Jason Leffler, 3rd fastest in his Great Clips Toyota with a 2181. So it's Busch, Harvick, Leffler. Yeah, if you want to vote for Brad, or, well, Brad's in. You don't have to vote for Brad.
That's right.
But anybody who hasn't won a race in the last 2 years, get after it. Brian Scott, his Great Clips Toyota, clocks in 4th fastest. Nice run for the driver who's 7th in the Truck Series points. Dick Bergman.
And I'm walking down pit road with Mike Bliss, who was the fastest of the nationwide only guys. He was 4th quick in practice today. But you drive for James Finch. What has he been like here today?
Today, I've seen him smiling. I think he's still smiling from a week ago, which is great. You know, James he's worked hard and he loves speedway racing. Talladega is probably one of his favorite tracks. So you couldn't, I don't know if I can top that. But, you know, if we could win here, it would be really good. And, you know, our Mikasuki Chevrolet has been pretty fast off the trailer, so I think we had a good shot today.
Good shot at the pole for sure. Krista.
Thanks, Dick. Down here with Kyle Busch, we were chit-chatting. You said that was maybe more than you expected out of the car, but I want to talk about these flat tracks. You said something's figured out in the Nationwide, not so much in the Cup Series. How can you get that to swing around?
We're working on that. We're trying. You know, I felt like our Cup car was pretty decent today, you know, but we just keep trying to work on it to make it fit my style. You know, it's a really good Denny Hamlin setup, but Phoenix, we sort of went more my way, and it helped out. So, you know, Richmond's always been a good place for me, though. We'll see how it ends up here. Nationwide qualifying with the NOS Energy Drink Toyota, and hopefully it'll be good enough to start up front and hopefully keep it up there.
All right, thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Krista. David Green, the PMCLife.com Chevrolet 2219. He is 12th on the board right now. Michael McDowell in the Tom's Toyota, Tom's Snacks. Kroger car. This will be his first Richmond start in this series.
You know, Dick was talking to Mike Bliss, who's obviously drives for James Finch as well. Well, Mike is actually driving James's Cup car here this weekend. Granted, will be back in that car for the All-Star race, but Mike Bliss is in that car doing double duty this weekend.
One of 11 drivers doing double duty. 11th for McDowell on his first lap. You know what happened 21 years ago today of great importance?
No, sir.
Phil Parsons won the Sprint Cup race, well, it was then a Winston Cup race, at Talladega.
That's correct. May 1st.
21 years ago.
1988.
It's a shame they didn't have TV back then.
Oh,
Hermie, that was uncalled for.
Kids.
What are you going to call
kids? What are you going to do?
I remember that race. That was awesome.
He's just trying to get back, Mike, because what we were talking about before we went on the air about his birthday.
Ah, yes, the one with the big 0 after it. Hey, tonight on Trackside, Charlie Daniels is going to stop by. They got a great bunch of drivers. And yeah, Larry says they got a great lineup.
I can't wait to see Larry McReynolds try to play the fiddle. I know he's going to do it on Trackside tonight.
Larry says they have a great lineup on Trackside tonight, and they have some pretty good guests, too. 11 p.m. Eastern
I can
time.
just picture Larry with Charlie Daniels' cowboy hat and the fiddle going at it. I can see it.
It won't be pretty.
It won't be pretty.
Hammond had a fiddle on the airplane yesterday. I wonder what that's about. Probably getting Charlie to sign it.
Exactly.
Okay. Meanwhile, back on the track, Tony Rames, the Long John Silver's Chevrolet.
What a great run he had last week at Talladega in his Nationwide car.
He finished 4th. That moved him up to 16th in the standings. His career best finish in the series came here in 2001, 2nd place. '15th on his second lap, 22:27. Dick?
Well, the last time America saw Matt Kenseth in a Nationwide car was last weekend at Talladega, going side over side, winding up on fire. What was it like inside that car while all that stuff was going on?
I don't know. It all happened pretty quick. It never hit anything very hard, actually, so I was just happy it landed right side up. So I'm glad that was last week, and we're at Richmond, so I love this track. It's always been a lot of fun, and we've been struggling a little bit today, but hopefully we get qualified good and have a better result this week.
All right, we wish you well. Keep her on all 4.
Did you see that stat? 17 starts here in the Nationwide Series and 14 top 10s.
That's what Matt Kenseth is all about, a model of consistency. He wins his share of races, but he gets everything out of his equipment. And contrary to what you might believe after seeing last week, he doesn't wreck a whole lot.
Yeah, right.
He had a little help last week.
Here's the Wii GameStop Toyota for Joey Logano. 6th on his first lap.
Pretty good first lap.
5th in points.
Got a chance to get up and scare Kyle Busch anyway, Phil.
That may be that's one of the better first laps. He was only 2,000 or 6,000 of a second slower than what Kyle ran on his first lap.
Gonna be close.
Oh, second place to his teammate. The 21.712 for Joey Logano. Ken Butler finishes his run in the Aaron's number 23, and he will be 18th of 19. Krista?
Jason Leffler was third quick. Joey Logano's run just bumped him to fourth, but still a good run. How did the race car feel, and how is it going to race tonight?
Oh, it's going to race really good. There it was tight. I mean, just on sticker tires, it chatters the nose for the first lap, and about halfway through the second lap, it comes in. But all in all, it was a good run for the Great Clips Camry, and look forward to the race tonight for sure.
Yeah, we were talking. This is one of your favorites, right?
Yeah, it is. So one place you could probably get all the drivers to agree that they like this place. Racing's great, atmosphere is awesome, and when you have a good car like I do here, it makes it a lot of fun.
All right, thanks, Jason.
Jason's coming off a bit of a roll. 5 of the last 6 starts, finishing the top 10.
Scott Speed in the Red Bull Toyota, the number 99, sat on the pole at Vegas and finished up top 10 at Bristol. Those are his only 2 starts in the series this year.
He was top 10 in practice, so if he can get this thing hooked up, get a good start spot, he's always exciting to watch too.
He really is. What a talent. I mean, came into the ARCA series with very little, no experience essentially in a stock car, and really did a nice job.
Picks it up to 9th on lap 2, the 22.01.
Wasn't quite the pickup I'm sure that he was looking for. I'm sure most of these guys are looking for a couple tenths from the second lap over the first lap, and you only got 1.
I guess Morgan got out of the infield care center after his roller skating accident.
He only has 4 wheels right now. He had 8 there and turned over.
It was such a little stone that he hit.
Doesn't take much when you're roller skating.
You have some experience with that, Hermie?
Yes, I do. That's why I don't roller skate anymore.
After that birthday you had, I don't think I would either. Would you, Mike?
It makes me feel bad. Morgan's still pretty good at it. Still pretty good at driving a race car too, Mike Joy.
Okay, now notice the quarter panel on that car. All you guys that are watching the show, strangesflorist.com. We all know what next Sunday is, so pay attention. Just good to see Morgan with a sponsor on the car.
That's
right. 20th on the first lap. Big run up down into turn 1, pays the price off turn 2.
And remember, Morgan's one of the cars locked in. Obviously, the first 30 cars in the Nationwide Series are locked in, as opposed to the 35 in the Sprint Cup Series.
Don't forget, he won here in 1983, driving, I think, for Ed Whitaker.
Probably Ed Whitaker, exactly.
18th for Shepard, 22.33. Tomorrow on Speed, NASCAR Race Day roars into Richmond. And the Ultimate Pre-Race Show weighs in on last week in Talladega and much more. NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot. Live coverage tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. NASCAR on Speed. Be there. Here is Mike Bliss. Finished 41st last week at Talladega. That dropped him out of the top 10. And ended a 3-race streak of top 10 finishes.
Talked to Mike down in the garage area after practice. He said he thought he had a real good race car, and he was 4th quickest in that practice session.
It's going to have to be lap 2.
Had a good run through 3 and 4 field, right around the yellow line though. Car looks good.
That's a good first lap, 21.942.
And that's about 6/100ths off of the best first lap.
Needs to pick up about a 1/4 of a second to catch Kyle Busch. Yeah.
Just hold it off turn 4.
The car really looks good through the middle of 3 and 4.
Mike Bliss is going to the pole. 21.64.
All right, Mike. Good job, man. 21.64 P1.
Speed's coverage of NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying is brought to you by Toyota. The latest Toyota racing information, visit toyotaracing.com. Toyota, moving forward. Eric McClure, 19th in points in the hefty Ford, is going to clock in 9th.
Good run for him.
Yep.
Really is a good run. Top 10 run so far.
Krista?
Just looking over the times as Mike Bliss sets on the pole, and I'm down here with Joey Logano. So what did you think of your run, and how is, I know you had said this track maybe owes you one, because you were supposed to already have a cup start here, right?
Yeah, I wish we did, but you know, I think we're okay with the GameStop Toyota. We got the Wii on board, so it looks pretty cool, but we'll see. I mean, I thought we were going to hold up for second there until Bliss got us here, so I mean, it doesn't really matter where you start. It's going to be a long race, and the track's going to change a lot, so we'll see what we got. I'm sure Dave and the bunch will be working hard tonight, and hopefully keep it up front.
All right, thanks, Joey.
Brian Keselowski, Brad's brother, started 35th and finished 30th here last year, his only Richmond appearance. And he got a top 15 finish last week at Talladega, but here he is 21st with a 22:36 after just one lap.
Yeah, not sure why he only. That's why he only ran one lap.
Or I think we just broke something.
Ryan just got back up into the top 30 in
That was
points.
weird. This thing just popped up.
Here is Matt Kenseth, then in the City Financial Ford. 3 second-place finishes here, 3 third-place finishes, a couple of fourths, 4 thirds, 5 thirds, 3 fourths, 4 fourths,
And a lot
it's
of
a
top
whole lot of
10s.
top 5s, all right?
And top 10s, exactly.
He's got a real good first lap going too, Phil. He's going after it right here on lap 1.
Car really looks good, hugging that yellow line.
In other words, he's done everything here but win. Wow, 7th on the first lap, and that 82, that's class of the field for a first lap.
You know what's amazing at this racetrack, as you come off turn 4, you get the car almost straight, and you can still buzz the tires and get sideways. You can be almost at the start-finish line and get sideways.
And Kenseth snatches the pole away from Mike Bliss. Sorry, Krista.
Nice job.
I know I feel like I'm the bearer of bad news right as we're about to interview Mike Bliss. Kenseth goes and knocks you off the pole run, but it was a great pickup. I'm sure you were satisfied and pretty happy with that run.
Yeah, I was. I told him I wish I could do it over again because it really kind of surprised me how good it was. But yeah, we haven't got a pole yet. But you know, our Mikazuki Chevrolet's been fast off the trailer, and I'm looking forward to tonight.
All right, thanks, Mike. Yeah, good things happening with this race team, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Matt Kenseth on pole by 9/1000ths of a second over Mike Bliss. Kenny Wallace has been racing here in this series since 1989 and has 3 victories to show for it.
He was really loose coming to get the green flag, Phil. Lost all his momentum, so he will have to regroup and try to get a good second lap in because lap 1 is not going to be what he's looking for.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, though, better to do it on your first lap as you're coming for the green. If you do that coming for the white flag, you lose that momentum and screws up both laps.
This will be his 29th race at Richmond. That leads all drivers. He's had 19 lead lap finishes here, which also leads the league. 20th on his first lap.
Just a little bit better on lap number 2, looks like.
Picks it up to 17th with a 22:10. Call the number on your screen or visit the website. Tickets as low as $25 for the NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race. DJ Kennington in the DH Griffin Dodge clocks in 18th. He's had top 25 finishes in all 5 of the races he's attempted this year. Dick?
Well, Scott Wimmer is in the 40 car. Failed to make the show last weekend at Talladega. Going to try to make it this weekend for sure at Richmond. But a couple of weeks ago, you started talking already about what is going to happen when you get to Darlington. Tell us about Darlington.
Oh, I'm really excited about that, going there, driving a 5 car with Fast and all aboard that, and Dale Jr. and you know, trying to get this car in the top 30. We've been real close and just kind of shoot ourselves in the foot every time we do that. But love coming to Richmond. This place we can make our own fate here. Talladega, you're just at the mercy how fast you go. And I think we got a good car today. We'll put it in the race, and looking forward to next week too.
Good. We're looking forward to seeing you both tonight and next week.
Thanks, Dick. Joe Nemechek on track. First lap for Nemechek, 18th in his unsponsored Chevrolet, the 1992 champion, who finished a season best 11th last week in Talladega.
You know, I think Scott Wimmer is one terrific race car driver. He won last year in that 29 car for RCR at Nashville,
right,
and then found himself without a regular ride. Curtis Key ramped up his nationwide effort to run full time, and he was very fortunate, I think, to get Scott.
Agree. Joe picks it up to 9th on his second lap. 21.91. Last Sunday, in case you were, I don't know, out on the lake all day and away from a TV all week, Carl comes down on Brad Keselowski, and when he caroms off Ryan Newman, it puts Carl's car into the fence. The fence held and did its job, containing the car, while Keselowski sped on to victory. And Carl Edwards, Ricky Bobby style, hops across the line.
You got to really compliment Carl Edwards, not only on the finish, but how he handled the post race at Talladega and how he's handled all the media this week. He really, you know, took the high road on everything and really turned that whole thing into a positive experience.
Absolutely. First lap for the Miracle-Gro Ford, 22:30, 24th quickest.
And the important thing to remember is that double yellow line that was down below Brad. If Brad goes down below that, then he could have been penalized just like Regan Smith was last year.
Right. If he had advanced his position, he would automatically have been penalized. Big pickup for Edwards. He is 5th. Nice lap of 21.81. Krista?
Nice lap indeed, and that is the case for Matt Kenseth. What a difference between a week makes, you know, flipping around last week. I'm sure you're tired of talking about that, to this run this week. This one had to feel a lot better, at least to start the race.
Yeah, I mean, we still have to finish. You know, it's a finishing position that's important, not the starting position. But these City Financial guys did a great job, really. I thought we were quite a ways off all of practice. And Eddie and them guys must have made some good changes because it drove 100% better in qualifying. So I'm excited for the race.
And you got to keep that wrecked car, right? Jack Roush gave it to you?
Yeah, his exact words, he says, you can have that piece of junk if you want it. So probably put it up in our fan club headquarters, museum up in Wisconsin, probably.
We'd much rather have a nationwide trophy here at this track. Mike?
You bet. Mark Martin, 5 victories in a span of, 13 years. 1987 the first, 1999 the most recent. And the last time he ran this race was in the fall of 2005, and he won the pole for that one.
And he's got the race sponsor on the hood of that car, so you can bet he'll be up on the wheel tonight trying to get another victory.
It's the Lipton Tea 250 tonight.
The only time I think that we're going to see Mark in this car this season, from what I understand.
Well, this is fitting. Car number 5, position 5 for Mark Martin. John West Townley is the first driver in knockout qualifying. 18 cars, 13 will make the show, and the Zaxby's Ford times in at 22.67. This is the first driver to run 2 laps whose first lap was quicker than the second.
Yeah, there was probably a pretty good reason for that, wasn't there?
Yeah, he had his handful very, very loose. Had a hard time getting grip to get his speed up, and his.
You really got free coming up off the corner right there. Came out from under me.
Let's show it to you. I believe Kenny Wallace did some practice laps in this car also.
He was listed on the computer. Ooh, yeah, pretty good save right there. Coming off turn number 2, a little bit flat on that exit off of 2, and as we heard John West say, he lost the back end, got out from under him.
Yeah, 2 things about turn 2, Phil, as you know. I mean, you lose your bank and it gets flat, and not a lot of room over there as much as it is off turn 4. Very tight corner.
Kenny Hendrick.
Big Oak Ranch and Smith Ironworks on Kenny Hendrick's Dodge. 32nd in the standings, just 2 away from being locked in the field, so he's got to go.
That's a difficult thing, too, as a driver, Phil, when you're doing this knockout qualifying. If you get a decent first lap in, you know you got to pick it up, and you sometimes go over the line. This is a very easy track to overdrive.
You're exactly right. We saw that in practice. A lot of guys out there, very easy to drive in the corner too hard, and then the car won't turn through the center of the corner.
27th for Kenny Hendrick. Mark Martin is the fastest of the Go homers. He is 5th. He's with Krista.
Yes, he is, making an appearance back in the series that you rewrote the record books in, the Nationwide Series. How much fun is it being back in this 5 Nationwide car?
Oh, this is great, man. Just being back with JR Motorsports and Rick Hendrick, the number 5, which is my number now. I like it, you know, and Lipton Tea is our sponsor of the race, and we're going to try to get another victory.
We're going to try to do what you did in Vegas last year. Go get it, Mark.
Casey Atwood next in the 31W Installation Chevrolet. Casey 6 starts this season. Still looking for his first top 15 start of the year, but right now the goal is just get it in the show.
Was it Phoenix that Casey had such a hard hit in the race? I believe it was Phoenix in this 05 car.
Jeff Green ran this car at Talladega last week, finished 36.
Pretty decent lap going. He's tracking up in the top 15 right now. Lost a little bit through the center of 3 and 4.
First lap was a 22.25, 25th fastest, and should be safe, but 14th, 22 flat for
Good
Casey.
Run. Good run.
Yeah, he'll race tonight. So we're in knockout qualifying. Matt Kenseth presently sitting on the pole. Fox and Speed's coverage of NASCAR's weekend in Richmond continues right here. Next, Sprint Cup Series qualifying. Tomorrow, NASCAR race day on Speed, and then the Sprint Cup Series race on Fox. Our coverage of NASCAR continues all weekend long. Johnny Chapman, 22nd. Big pickup on his second lap, Phil, 22.16.
Yeah, picked up about 4/10. Did a nice job there. He's already beat 2 of the Go homers. You have to beat 5. We have no past champions that aren't already in the field, so you have to beat 5 of the Go homers, and that puts you in.
Peyton Sellers in the SFP.com Chevrolet, number 77, looking to make his first series start at Richmond. He ran at Texas earlier this year and was the 2005 NASCAR Weekly Racing Series national champ.
Yeah, Peyton's from over in Danville, Virginia, not too far away from the racetrack. He's a great short track racer. Good to have him, see him get an opportunity to do some racing.
He's been running in what's now Camping World East past couple of seasons. Nice to see him with an opportunity to step up here. 26th on the first lap, 22.23.
Good looking lap here. 21.839 all the way up to the 11th position. Nice lap.
That was a fabulous lap.
We saw him have an excellent chance coming off turn 4 to win the Toyota All-Star Showdown back in January. Remember, Mike?
Absolutely.
Leading the race in turn 4 on the last lap.
Got all but turned over.
It's the 08 tires are better than 4.
That's right.
Theory.
Yep. Here's Mark Green in the 0. And interesting sponsorship on this car. Just only the phone number is displayed.
Call us.
Leaves it up to the imagination.
Yeah. 20 starts here at Richmond, a best of 4th last year and a best finish of 12th 2 years ago. '25th for Mark Green, 22.18 on the first lap, and that would lock Mark Martin into the race. Not that that's any surprise, but look at this lap.
Yeah, look where that tracker is. Lost a little bit down the straightaway. He was in the top 5 as he exited turn number 2.
He may lock himself in. Well,
going to be close. That's going to be a safe speed, though. He's going to race tonight,
and he's in. Well, he's in. He's one away. He locks in Peyton Sellers. Mark is 12th with a 21.89, so he'll be the next driver to lock in.
It's very impressive. He was only 37th fastest in practice, so good job by Mark Green to pick it up.
The WHUR number 36 for Mark Davis.
Another graduate of the Camping World East Series.
Yes. Yeah, and he comes out of the Joe Gibbs driver development program. This car put together by Mark and his dad.
Billy Venturini, the car owner, crew chief in the Arcus Series for multiple drivers. Joe Logano drives for him. They won a race with Sean Case at Rockingham a few weeks ago. Is actually wrenching this car down here for Mark Davis.
And WHUR is the college radio station at Howard University. And Mark, 22:53. He's going to need a pretty good pickup here to race tonight.
Looking good down the backstretch. Was all the way up into the high teens. Lost a little bit through the center.
Pretty good pickup though, Phil. Looks like he.
Well, that's decent. 22:11 puts him 24th, and that will lock Mark Green into the race. Krista.
Mike, I know you, Phil, and Hermie remember Peyton Sellers from the Toyota All-Star Showdown down in Irwindale. Really turned some heads there the last couple of years, but that's a great run, and this is your home state fans.
Absolutely. You know, that's what it's all about right here. Getting back to grassroots racing and coming here to Richmond for the first time. It's a big deal for me, and a lot of fans up in the stands coming from Southside Virginia today to come watch me. So, hey, we're up there 11th right now, and that's where we ought to be. We had a Heim joint lockup on us in practice, and we wasn't quite where we needed to be, but HC and all the guys on the team really worked hard and got us to this point. So, hey, we're just glad to be here.
All right, Peyton, bring them out of their seats tonight, okay?
Great run for Peyton Sellers.
Shelby Howard was 11th quickest in our only practice session.
Yep, the Ford Travel Chevrolet. He's made 3 starts in 2009, including a best finish, career best, 14th at Nashville.
That's a great first lap for Shelby Howard. 21.914.
He's in.
He's in.
He can park it.
Yeah, but he's not going to park it.
Nope.
He's on pace for a top 5 qualifying run on lap 2. Lost a little bit in turns 3 and 4, but still a very solid run.
Well, he backs up that first lap with a 21.87, and that will move him up to 12th. So right now the bottom 5: Atwood, Davis, Chapman, Hendrick, and Townley. Benny Gordon in the Samuel number 72. Ran at Nashville, completed 157 of the 225 laps.
Made the race at Bristol, and they actually did a fuel sample check after the qualifying and found they had purchased racing fuel, Sunoco racing fuel, from an outside vendor, and they felt like they didn't get all that fuel out of the fuel cell, and there was some residue, and it didn't quite meet up with the specifications that NASCAR mandate.
That's correct, Phil. And I talked to the Sunoco folks about this. We're a distributor for their gasoline, so we were very interested. And it turned out that instead of the 260 GTX, the 98 octane unleaded, that there was a different grade of unleaded Sunoco racing fuel in that that perhaps contained oxygenants, and that's what was thrown off in testing. So it's a shame that happened. But he can acquit himself here with a great run, 14th with a 21.90.
And locks himself in. Already locks himself in the field at 14th.
So in other words, the fuel he had there was not illegal. Sunoco didn't provide any illegal fuel. Rather, they had a different grade of fuel that did not meet the NASCAR specification of the fuel that they tested at the fuel truck at the track.
Yeah, this qualifying is shaping up to be one heck of a race.
Yeah.
Tonight we're going to have a lot of guys with not as much experience. These guys having to get in the show. They're going to be starting up quite a ways towards the front field. Should make for an interesting race tonight.
It really looks like the racetrack is getting quicker and quicker, it seems.
Scott Wimmer, the StopRepairBills.com Chevrolet, has 5 straight top 10 finishes here at Richmond. He has 6 series wins and a pole, 16th on his first lap, 21.95.
If he can get a couple tenths pick up here, that can move him all the way up very close to the top 5. You can see the tracker right now tracking 3rd, entering turn 3.
He doesn't give much of that back. Nice run for Wimmer, 6th with a 21.75. So Scott Wimmer locks himself in. Speed's coverage of NASCAR Nationwide Series qualifying brought to you by Honda Generators. Honda, the power of choice. And by new Kentucky Grilled Chicken. Taste the unfried side of KFC. Here's the flipping bags, number 73 of Derek Cope, who made his only series start this year at California. And Cope's second lap got a decent pickup. He's up to 28th, which means he locks in Casey Atwood, and he goes to second on the list of 5 drivers in doubt, who right now are Mark Davis, Derek Cope, Johnny Chapman, Kenny Hendrick, and John West Townley. Travis Kittleson from Florida. And the number 31, the Bob Steele Chevrolet. 6 series starts. He ran to Indianapolis at Raleigh Raceway Park last July. That's his last appearance. First time at Richmond.
Travis was back in 43rd in practice.
He needs better than a 22:11 to lock in, and the first lap is 22:44, so he's got to find 3.5 tenths.
Tracker's going the wrong way there down the backstretch.
Yep. Well, he picks up a bit, 22:37.
I think that's going to be borderline, don't you, Hermie?
Yeah, I wouldn't be too.
That's got a going home look to it.
Yeah, it looks like he may be in a little bit of trouble right there, but you never can tell. The sun has peeked back out just a little bit in turns 3 and 4, so I wouldn't count him out yet, but I wouldn't be too happy with that lap.
Now that will lock in Mark Davis, and the bottom 5 becomes Cope, Chapman, Hendrick, Kittleson, and Townley in that order. Terry Cook, 9th in the Camping World Truck Series, 8 starts in the trucks at Richmond, including a top 5 finish. So let's see if he can put the number 91 in the field.
Yeah, the last 3 races Terry's qualified for, he has qualified in the top 15, so he's got a little bit of a roll going here.
Needs to best a 22:12 to be up there to the left of the green line.
A little sideways there coming off 4, had to pedal a little bit.
22:26 puts him right in the middle of the bottom 5. Now John West Townley has been locked out. Terry Cook's run sends him home. Cook's going to pick up and almost going to get there. Yes, he does it. Terry Cook 22:11 with a 2. Davis 11 with a 4. They're both going to race tonight. Terry Cook is in.
Terry Cook did a good job right there. He had his hands full on lap 1. Car got a little bit free on him. He regrouped and didn't overdrive that second lap and got the car in the show.
So now with 4 cars to go, the bottom 5, Cope, Chapman, Hendrick, Kittleson, and Townley. Curtis Davis. The GetMoreVacations.com Chevrolet, 5 starts in 2009, best start of 19th at Phoenix. He's going to have to get into the top 30 if he wants to race here tonight.
Curtis ran about a 22 flat in practice, which right now a 22 flat would be comfortably in if he could repeat.
He needs a 22:11 or better. That's the green line at 29th position. Not on lap 1. A 22:52. Curtis needs 4 tenths.
He's got him right now if he can hold it.
Good looking lap here. 23rd for Curtis Davis. He'll race tonight.
Big pickup, Mike, just about a half a second.
He picked up half a second. You're right, Hermie. And that run will send Kittleson to the house. So there are three drivers remaining to qualify. And the bottom 3, Cope, Chapman, and Hendrick, with Kittleson and Townley already eliminated. So here's the number 52 for Kevin Hamlin, who has 3 starts this season, a best of 14th at Texas. And again, the time to beat is Derek Cope's 22:12.
Kevin was 46th quickest in our practice session.
First lap too slow, 22.67. And he needs more than half a second to make the show.
Yeah, he needs almost 6 tenths right now, 5.5 tenths. We got a little bit sideways through the center of the corner. Never backed off, it looked like, Hermie.
He did the best he could. He got down on the apron a little bit there, and Carl got away from him. Not going to be quite enough.
You know, he got 4 tenths, got 4.5 tenths back, but that puts him 35th. So that sends Kenny Hendrick home. And with 2 drivers to go, the bottom 2 are Chapman and Hamlin. Derek Cope is locked in with that run. And Danny O'Quinn in the 01 Chevrolet, 25th in driver points, and the 2006 Rookie of the Year.
I think Danny with that 01 car is just outside the top 30, just a little ways outside the top 30. So huge difference between being in the top 30 and not being in the top 30.
And it's not just at the racetrack, it's all during the course of the week, how you have to approach practice and the things you have to try to do as you prepare for the race. So these guys that are in the top 30 have it a lot better during the course of the week.
They can sleep at night.
A little bit.
Time to beat is Johnny Chapman's 22.16. O'Quinn 22.26. He needs a 1/10 of a second.
Should be able to get that unless he really messes up down here in 3 and 4.
Yeah, he should get that and more.
See the tracker going the proper way for him, then lost a little bit at the very end.
No problem. 25th for Danny O'Quinn, 22.06. So he will race tonight, and that means Hamlin in the 52. Kevin Hamlin goes home. So it's down to Mike Harmon, as it so often is. The Marriott Richmond West Chevrolet comes out. He will be the final qualifier, and it's down to Chapman versus Harmon. Johnny Chapman's 22.16 for the last spot in the field.
Yeah, Mike was only able to run a 22.79 in practice, so he will have to make a big pickup from practice, but looks like the track's got a pretty good grip in it right now. We'll see if he's able to pull it off.
Yeah, I think the track is very fast right now. We've seen 6 of the Go Homers make the top 15 fastest qualifiers.
Mike Harmon made the field in Daytona. That's his only race of the year. 23.11.
Really going to have to pick it up here. He's going to have to pick up almost a second.
And that tracker's just not coming to the left for him. So the second lap for Harmon, quicker, 22.92, but Mike Harmon will not make the race. Johnny Chapman gets the final spot in the field.
We have to mention that Scott Lagacy Jr. did not make an attempt, but was guaranteed in the field, so he will race tonight.
15th career pole for Matt Kenseth, his second at Richmond in 18 starts. And Mike Bliss on the front row for the first time since Milwaukee last year. Not the Milwaukee he's from, that one's in Oregon. Dick.
And it was a bit of a surprise that Matt Kenseth won the pole because he was 15th in practice. Where did the additional speed come from?
I have to ask Eddie. Eddie and them City Financial guys did something to the car, so we seemed to really struggle in practice. We could never really get it to turn very well, and there for qualifying it did everything I wanted it to and then some. So I'm pretty excited for the race tonight.
All right, we wish you good luck.
Matt Kenseth, Mike Bliss, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, teammates on row 2, Mark Martin, Scott Wimmer. Matt Kenseth has won 3 times from the pole in the Nationwide Series. Last time came at Phoenix in 2006. Here's your starting lineup for tonight's Lipton Tea 250.
Look at that top 5. Matt Kenseth, Bliss, Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, and Mark Martin.
How about Scott Wimmer with a great run outside row number 3. Kevin Harvick very fast. The fastest car in practice will be in row 4. And Brian Scott with a great run. Top 10 qualifying effort.
Look at rows 6 through 8 from Peyton Sellers back to Benny Gordon. Those are all go-or-go homers with the great qualifying runs.
Give a call to Eric McClure, a top 20 start, as well as Eric Darnell, his first race this year in that number 6 car.
See Scott Speed, a pole sitter earlier this year at Las Vegas, will start inside row number 11 alongside Michael McDowell.
Mark Davis, good run for him getting in that show tonight.
Yep, he'll start 30th. Derek Cope made it in 31st. Chapman 32nd.
Jeff Burton way back in row number 17. You know he's going to go towards the front from there.
And here are the drivers who failed to make the field in qualifying.
A very competitive field here. 48 cars, but there were really no slouches in this field.
No. Our coverage of NASCAR's weekend in Richmond continues next right here on Speed. Sprint Cup Series qualifying for the Crown Royal presents the Russ Friedman 400. That's coming up next. And tomorrow, NASCAR Race Day, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and the Sprint Cup races on Fox, 7 p.m. Eastern. Pretty exciting knockout qualifying today.
It really was. We never knew to the last car, and that's the kind of drama that we love to see, and that's why NASCAR put all the go homers together for one thing, and another thing to make it more fair and more even.
And this is going to be a very competitive race tonight. About a half a second is all it took from the fastest qualifier to the last guy to get in the show, Johnny Chapman. So very competitive field.
Short race, only a couple of pit stops. Care to pick a winner?
I don't know. Unless somebody else shows me they can beat Kyle Busch, I'm going to stick with Kyle Busch.
I like Mike Bliss.
I like Matt Kenseth starting on pole. And we'll see how it all plays out later on this evening. Sprint Cup qualifying coming up shortly.